February 17th, 2014, and we'll start off by calling the meeting to order. And Mr. Jackson, do you have any late items, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. We have a few late items here. The first one being item 7A. It's a motion that was added to the agenda late as 14B, but the request is to move it up front. And that is related to a motion from Councillor Brennan regarding flying of the Pride rainbow flag during the balance of the Olympic Games.
Okay, sorry, and that'll be moved to 7A.
7A,
okay,
that's correct. The next, there are two items in this. It's 8D, unresolved building deficiencies. Delete 5785 Alder Way and 3720 Hammond Bay Road. The final item is an addition, or sorry, is a deletion, 9B, property maintenance bylaw. Delete 445 Lambert Street. And that's it, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there now a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And moving into a motion to adopt the minutes. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move straight down into item 7A now, and under administration. And Councillor Brennan, I believe you wanted to make a motion.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I know that we're a little bit late, but on the principle that it's never too late to do the right thing, I would move that the Pride rainbow flag be flown at City Hall for the duration of the 2014 Olympic Games.
Second.
Okay, Councillor Patchy seconded, and it's been moved and seconded. Discussion, Councillor Patchy.
Thank you, Worship. I'm really pleased to second this important motion, and I just want everybody to be aware that it's better late than never in this case, as far as I'm concerned. I was advised earlier today that this is happening in similar cities, namely Montreal, Medicine Hat, Regina, Guelph, Corner Brook, Moose Jaw, Hamilton, Vancouver, and Victoria. So there's no reason why Nanaimo should not be part of that. Thank you.
Well said. Councillor Brennan, any comment on that? On your motion?
Just that there's every reason why it should.
Yeah, good point. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I see no further discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Move into 8A.
Your Worship?
Yes.
Your Worship, I'm going to leave the meeting now, so just have a cough and a cold that I think I should keep at home. But I wanted to be here for that motion. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Does anybody else want to go home? I'll go so the vote's not tied. I'll go home. Or I can go.
Thank you both. Under 8A Corporate Services, Development Permit DP 861 at 253 Victoria Road. Purpose to obtain council authorization to issue a development permit for an 18-unit multiple family residential project with 3 proposed variances.
I move that council issue development permit number DP 861 at 253 Victoria Road with support for the following variances. Allow residential uses on the ground floor, reduce the flanking side yard setback to 2.55 meters, and allow access off a local road.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. To 8B, rather, Development Variance Permit DVP 226 at 2430 Jinglepot Road. And the purpose is to obtain council authorization to vary the maximum gross floor area, GFA, for accessory buildings within bylaw 4500 in order to permit 2 accessory buildings, an existing shed, and a new garbage garage/shop to exceed the maximum GFA by 10.4 square meters.
I'd move that council direct staff to proceed with the required statutory notification for development variance permit number DVP 226 at 2430 Jinglepot Road.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Councillor Patchy, did you want to?
Yes, please, just very shortly. This was not an incident, but a case where a tiny shed has stood in the way of the occupancy of a beautifully and well-built workshop, that has now been in the works for over a year and a half. So I'm kind of at a loss. Well, I'm not at a loss. I know why it happened, but it was such a small thing that I'm still having some trouble wrapping my head around as to why it would take a year and a half, and the whole commotion that we now have to go through in order to get this thing legalized. It almost seemed too silly for words, and that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, Councillor Johnstone.
Your Worship, I'd just like to say, I'm in support of this motion. Especially since the neighbours have no, concerns about it. So.
Okay, I see no further questions. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Moving into item C, rezoning application RA 329, part of 4921 Denford Place. Purpose is to present a rezoning application for part of the property located at 4951 Denford Place to rezone the subject area from townhouse residential to steep slope residential in order to facilitate a residential subdivision.
I move that council receive for information the report pertaining to zoning amendment bylaw 2014 number 4500.060.
Is there a seconder for that?
Second, Your
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd move the bylaw that zoning amendment bylaw 2014 number 4500.060 RA 329 to rezone part of 4921 Denford Place from townhouse residential R6 to steep slope residential R10 to facilitate a residential subdivision pass first reading.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Seconded. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
And that zoning amendment bylaw 2014 number 4500.060 pass second reading.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Move into item D, unresolved building deficiencies, notice untitled, section 5.7. It's requested that council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to the unresolved building deficiencies for the properties listed below. And the motion that will subsequently be made, I would assume, would be that council by resolution instruct the corporate officer to file a bylaw contravention notice respecting the properties listed below at the Land Title and Survey Authority of British Columbia under section 5.7 of the Community Charter. The first two properties, Alder Way and Hammond Bay Road, have been pulled, so we're going into item number 3, and that is 1619 Mallard Drive, construction of a multi-level deck, stairs and an aluminum roof canopy without a building permit. Anyone in attendance would like to speak to matters related to 1619 Mallard Drive? The next property is 69 Strickland Street, construction of a front porch without a building permit. Anyone in attendance tonight that would like to speak to matters related to 69 Strickland Street? Welcome, sir. We just need your name and address and your affiliation with the property. Come down to the microphone. Number 4.
Okay, Charles Gouin, 69 Strickland Street. And I just came and tell you tonight that I think that City of Nanaimo are arresting the wrong person. There is people that are trying to improve their house, and some other that don't care. It's not only in Nanaimo. Everywhere in Vancouver Island, in BC, all around the world, you have about the same situation. So, to give you for an example, I took a couple of pictures on Gillespie Street. The first one is some people that you see that they took some care of their house in the last few years. And there's another one. Center? Oh, I see. Sorry about that. Another one here. Maybe it doesn't look very good on the picture, but it's nicer on the place. But that last person, what you see across the street is this one here. And you have another one right beside it. I've seen lots of these houses all around Nanaimo, especially in the south, that have been there for years. So this is my house when I bought it about 3 years ago. Nice, 100 years old, standing straight. And through the years, I've been doing some work on it. And before Christmas, I was just working on the porch. And effectively, when I bought it, there were no porch on this house, but I've done some research. Lots of work has been done on that house in the last 100 years. And to my research, most of these houses already had a front porch. This one had it, the guy just had it to remove not very long ago. And the main difference is the entrance was on the side rather than what I'm doing on my place than having it on the front. So I can say that this house had a front porch before. And in this project...
Okay, well, sir, just one second. I think the issue here is that the construction that was done on your property at 69 Strickland was done without a permit, building permit?
I will finish here. In this project I'm doing right now, I'm not adding any other section of the house. I'm not making an apartment. I'm just adding a garage. I only recreate what the house was at a certain point, most of its life. And what has upset me the most about that is it took the city of Nanaimo less than 3 weeks to give me an order to comply with the rules, when right beside my house, I have this house that I've been standing for 10 years, or almost 10 years, that burned down. So I don't understand how come you want to, you are giving trouble to people that try to make their house nicer just with little silly things, and you leave things like that standing for 10 years.
Okay, let me say to you, if you want to listen to me for a minute, did you have a building permit? This is what the issue is about here.
No,
I don't know if these other buildings had a building permit. Maybe you checked on that. But yours did not, is that
Let
correct?
me finish, please. No, I didn't have the building permit because I was recreating what was already there many years ago. So let me finish with this. This is the house that I've been standing beside my house for 9 years, 10 years. I had it right beside my place, and the next day, even you see that the boards have been removed. So there is people going in that house, in and out, on a regular basis. And this last picture here, you can see a member of the family living in the house. There's that little raccoon in the middle. I don't know about rats, but I'm very upset to have that house standing beside mine. So what I came here to tell you is I will be happy to comply with your order the day that this house will be down. So do you have any question?
No.
Okay.
See no questions. Thank you, sir. Now, we've had the properties. Would anyone be interested in supporting the staff recommendation on that?
I move the staff's recommendation.
Second. I see no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Moving into 9A, Community Services, Section 72, 73, and 74 of the Community Charter at 478 McClary Street. It's requested that Councillor hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to 478 McClary Street. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to speak to matters related to 478 McClary Street?
I'd move that.
Just one second.
Okay.
Come down, sir. Do you have an interest in the property? Okay. We just need your name and address and your affiliation with the property.
I am the owner, Dan Hibbert, and so the house was burned a pretty good percentage of it. I've been waiting for insurance to come through with the money. It was insured for 20 years with the same place. They still, at this point, haven't given me an answer, yes or no. I've been trying to keep the place up to snuff and clean and boarded. I've done it a couple of times now, boarded it up. There's a garage on the property also that didn't get damaged at all, but was broken into, but the door was put back on and boarded up. Garbage was strewed around, which has been picked up also. I called the Aviva, the insurance company, today, and I said, look, you know, I've got to go to this meeting tonight in regards to this. What would you recommend? They said, well, we think we're going to have an answer for you in a week. So, but he's going on holidays, and it was kind of, so I'm new to this whole insurance fire situation.
When, sorry, what was the date of the fire, sir?
It was June the 2nd, I believe.
June 2nd of 2013.
That's correct, yeah. I was out of town working when it happened and came back into town to deal with it, and kind of had to stay in town since then trying to deal with this. I've actually since then, I hired a public adjuster that's working with Aviva in regards to getting this dealt with, financially getting it paid out. It does have bylaw endorsement, which would be part of cleaning it up, the demolition portion. The half of the building is still there. I raised that house up in '96 and went through the city as a duplex, legal duplex, and finished it all off according to the code. So the bottom half of the house is brand new since '96, and a lot of the foundation and a lot of the concrete work down below was hot water in slab. That part of the house wasn't damaged other than the water damage. This fire started on the top floor and burned upwards. So the bottom half of the house is still there other than it's wet. The wood and the structure part and the concrete weren't any heat damage or anything like that. So it's been being investigated by my quantum survey guy through my public adjuster to get a total price to figure out how much the insurance company should be paying. So what the process now is, that I'm learning, is that the insurance company has their quantum survey and they're both trying to get this price together to figure it out, which supposedly they're within a month or two away. Now I'm worried about taking the property or the house down that's there, because if I take it down and there's still needs examination of cause of fire or the structural building house as per se it is, I don't want to be the one that rips it down and finds out that I shouldn't have because of that reason, and I buggered myself up for all the money to replace it, because I do want to rebuild the house. So.
Okay, but it's been almost 8 months, that's the concern. And,
yeah,
I think we're worried about liability, obviously, in a situation like this.
Right.
Can you give us, have you had discussions with staff and
Yeah,
Mr. Churchill? Do you want to comment on this at all?
Today I talked to a lady there.
You're on.
We believe that he has given us indications that there is some progress started now that hadn't started before. So we believe that also that it is of concern to the neighborhood. It has been 8 months that it's been in the condition that is really quite horrible for the neighborhood to see a burned out house in that condition for so long. So we would like to see progress, and if we could be assured by the owner something is more reasonable, perhaps as 60 days, that we could see some dialogue occur that results in this being addressed.
I do have a demolition company that's all ready to go when the time is right for it. I've set up all that stuff in motion. At this point, if I had to do it, it would be coming out of my pocket, which is, it's been a real financial burden right now with no insurance. They're supposed to be paying me loss of rental income, and I had to leave my job and come back and deal with it, and I haven't seen a red cent from the company. So, and I've been insured with them for 20 years through Hub International.
I mean, do you still think, first of all, I'm just not sure I understand on the demolition. You were saying that you were planning on rebuilding it, but you're saying now there's a demolition group you've got?
Well, the top portion that was burnt would have to be removed, whether or not I saved the bottom half or not. I would still have to get in there and take the top part that was burned off. But it's actually not burned right through to the next floor, so all the structural micro-lam beams in that I put into it are still there. You know, they'd have to be checked by an engineer, I'm sure, and everything, but I'm not sure how far and how extensive I should be tearing it apart. Also, there's like new codes in regards to seismic. So is the foundation, should all that be ripped out? And the price of concrete nowadays, it's quite extensive. So if it could be brought up to code where it is, because I worked on it in '96, then I don't want to go and demolish it and then find out that I should have left it, So those are kind of the questions. I'm caught in kind of this catch-22. How much do I do? When do I do it? Do I wait for them? I've talked to a lawyer now about it. I haven't got him going yet, but he's looking into the details and going to get back to me this week. So I'm putting some more pressure on them now. I thought this was kind of a standard issue, but I'm getting feedback from both sides that sometimes I've talked to people that it's been 3 years. And they've had to fight him in court and different things, right? And then I've heard other ones that go a lot faster. But.
We're facing, concerns from the neighborhood at this as well. So really, what do you think would be the best you could do on it?
Well, I think if I had, say, 3 months, and then as soon as I get any information, I let you guys know what's happening, and if anything can move forward, sooner than that.
3 months is kind of long. But we've got a couple of speakers here, so for questions for Councillor Bestwick.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, and empathize with your situation. It seems apparent to me that much of this is out of this person's control as it relates to being able to clear the deck, so to speak, know who's going to pay for what and what's going to pay for who, and how you might be better served in how you would proceed with the insurance companies and beyond. I don't think it's unreasonable, given the extenuating circumstances, for us to extend the 30 days, Your Worship, on the assumption and premise that the building is being maintained as safely as possible. So I would certainly be willing to support an extension to the 30 days, Your Worship, to 90 days or less in the event that the gentleman hears the news that he hopes that he hears from the insurance companies.
Okay, we'll come back on that. Councillor McKay.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is to staff. Where would it leave us if we issue an order tonight to demolish? Where does that leave us in litigation, potential litigation with the insurance company? Or does it?
Your Worship, I certainly wouldn't want to provide council with legal opinions in the open, so if you would like a legal opinion, we could certainly provide that to protect the taxpayers. My gut feeling at this point is that extending this by 30 days is not an issue that causes any potential liability.
Thank you.
Okay, well, you know, for my part, Councillor Bissek, if you want to, I can support 30 days, but I'd have problems going beyond that. But that said, did you want to make a motion on that?
Well, I made the... Yes, please. Sorry.
You're on.
I just made the comment that, so we're prepared to give 30 days. I don't know that giving 90 days is going to be too terribly onerous on us, particularly in view of the fact of the delegation that just spoke beforehand about properties that I'm sure that are in worse condition after 96 months of what they are in. So I have no problem with 90 days, Your Worship.
Thank you.
So we need, I think we need to, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I want to get this going. I moved very close so that I can get this project going. I did most of the work myself when I raised the home and with other contractors. And, it bothers me the way it's sitting too. I actually have a hard time going there. I raised my family and my kids there and did a lot of work to that property. So I'd like to see it back to on track, but I don't want to, like I say, leave myself in a lurch. And if the council would give me 90 days or whenever I can come to a conclusion on demolishing or what to demolish and what to save, I'd be grateful.
Okay, we don't have a motion yet as such.
Well, Your Worship, I would just move that 90, replace 30 with 90
Okay.
in the motion.
Is there moved and seconded? Discussion, Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the delegation, I just had one question in regards to what happens if after 90 days this isn't completed.
Oh, well, at that time, I'm sure by then I'll have some answers on how much I'm supposed to demolish. I have to learn the new procedure on, I guess the inspector's telling me how much to demolish, right? So I guess I'm kind of not really answering your question. I guess your question is, inevitably it has to be cleaned up down the road.
And that's my point in that I'm fine with supporting the 90 days, but if it's not, what I was hoping to move, but someone's already moved, that the city would then go to demolish the building and leave it at the expense of you, because it has been 8 months already, and I think that we're empathetic to the situation that you're in, but to continue to have this go on and on and on would be a concern for me, at least at this table.
Then how do we explain?
And I will keep my eye on the place. Like I've kept it boarded up, and I'm going to do a little more boarding on the fence. It is fenced. The whole yard is fenced, so I could just trick that up a little better. And
okay, Councillor Johnson.
Yes, Your Worship, I'd be willing to support the motion as well, but I'm wondering if you obviously have lived in the neighborhood, if you'd have the time to go in and ensure your neighbors that there is a process happening and that you've had an extension for this determined amount of time to so they're not concerned.
no, sure, yeah, they're actually long-term neighbors. Been there a long time, seen all the work and the family that I've raised there and stuff. So they're pretty good. They call me if there's anything going on, and I whip up there if there is any problems, and I will go speak
just to
them
ensure
all.
them that
Yeah, sure, certainly.
it's going to take place. Thank you.
Thanks. And then, Councillor Patchy.
Thank you, Worship. I will also be supporting 90 days, but I would exhort you to do everything that's within your power to, if it means calling your insurance company every day, do so, because something's got to give after that. And then I have a question in connection with that to Mr. Churchill, if I may. A place like this and the houses that we saw across the street on Strickland in the last delegation, do you have a register of that? How do we deal with that?
So we are looking. We have, it has been brought to the attention to the city through the neighborhood process, through the neighborhood network, of houses that do cause concern. And what we're doing is looking at them on an ongoing basis, one by one, based on complaint from neighborhoods. A part of being in a dilapidated or an unclean condition, as we can see from time to time, is really part of what a neighborhood determines. So we base our efforts and what we're looking at on neighborhood complaints. This house, for instance, we didn't come here today directly. It's gone on for 7 months. It's the result of neighborhood complaints. So that's the feeder process that we have, and we do look at them as people complain and then deal with what we can from either a fire perspective, an unsightly perspective, or building issues that arise. But again, it's based on neighbors coming to us to let us know their concerns.
Does that mean that you're telling us that the houses on Strickland that we saw a picture of 10 minutes ago have never been complained about?
There are 2 there that we're aware of that we're actually seeking information on legally to take action in dealing with. I know that we have one in Strickland. I couldn't tell from the photos what that address was, but it may be the ones that were being referred to with the previous person at the mic.
Thank you.
Now, just for clarity on it, I'm just wondering, Mr. Jackson, are you showing the phrasing of the motion the same as item 3 on the agenda under this section, with the exception that if not completed within 30 days has been changed to 90 days? Or how are you seeing the motion?
Your Worship, right now, so it's on page 3 of the agenda 9. Item 1 remains as read. Number 2, the change would be 30 days, or for 30 to 90 days.
Right.
And number 3 would also read 90 days.
Okay.
That's the motion on the floor.
Okay, everyone's in agreement with that? So, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Property Maintenance Bylaw 1990, number 3704. It's requested that council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to property maintenance for the properties listed below. And the motion, subsequent motion that council pursuant to Property Maintenance Bylaw 1990, 3704, direct the owners of the following property to remove materials as listed below from the premises within 14 days, where the work will be done by the city or its agents at the owner's cost. The first property is 3092 Nayland Road. That's the one on your screen now. Discarded mattresses and miscellaneous debris. Anyone in attendance tonight that'd like to speak to matters related to 3092 Nayland Road? The next property is 445 Lambert Street.
Your Worship, that one has been deleted from the agenda.
Oh, sorry, that one was struck too. Okay, but Halliburton's still on. And so the next item is 626 Halliburton Street, 4 derelict vehicles, garbage, and miscellaneous debris. That's on before you now. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to speak to matters related to 626 Halliburton Street? Councillor Kipp.
Well, I guess, do we have a motion on the floor?
No, we're hoping that's, I thought you might move.
So I'll move the motion as staff's recommendation.
Okay, and is there a
done.
second? Move and second? Discussion, go ahead.
Yeah, where do we go with this stuff if we haul it away? Do we recycle it? Do we send it, where does it go? Or we just pick it up, send it to the dump?
So we have contractors that are recognized by the city that are approved, and they haul it, it's believed is tipped through the dumping system, through the RDN.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Moving into bylaws with no accompanying report.
I move that zoning amendment bylaw 2013, number 4500.050 RA323 to rezone 2180 Highland Boulevard from Comprehensive Development District Zone 8 CD8 to Neighborhood Center CC2 in order to facilitate a commercial development be adopted.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We have no correspondence. There will be an appointment, we're not, but I think we'll rise and report at a later date on that appointment.
Yes, Your Worship, that's fine at a later date, the quarterly report.
Okay. And I don't think we have any notices of motion, do we, from anyone on council? So other business, it has been looked after. So Councillor Brennan moved that and then moved. So we go right into question period.
Gord Fuller, 604 Nicholl Street. I sit on the SAFER committee, and I'm also the chair of the Nanaimo Neighborhood Network. So I know we've been working on the derelict and burnt out properties for ages, and it is a complex issue. And this latest gentleman just threw in something I had never thought of, that someone might actually be working with their insurance company in order to get paid for the property, to involve demolition, et cetera, et cetera. So every situation is different. I find it really weird to believe that the place on Strickland that was burned out and has been there for 10 years and is now a wildlife refuge hasn't garnered as many complaints as the one on McCleary. And the two on Gillespie, which I understand are being looked at, Mr. Churchill alluded to that, those have been burnt out for quite a while themselves, and I know they've been complained about a lot because I'm also part of the South End Community Association. So while it is based on complaint, how is it based on complaint? The numbers of complaints? Because you have one that's 8 months, and you've got some in the city that have been there far longer, like in the years and years and years. So
I don't know if it... Mr. Churchill, do you want to have a response for us?
Each of the properties that we deal with as nuisance, when we look at, are different. You have to look at them each independently. The two on Gillespie Street that were raised there are ones we're interested in. They're partially burnt by fire, but they're, to our knowledge, structurally sound houses after that fact. So we're examining them under the same sections we're looking at other properties here, whether they're unsightly or unclean. We are also looking at it from a legal perspective as well, so we'd have to come back once we have more information. But these houses aren't fully burnt. The ones we're dealing with on McCleary is a shell. It's completely burnt, and it likely end up being fully demolished. But these others aren't. They're partially, they don't look good, but if you keep it secure and if you keep it clean and no unsightly or garbage, and you're not allowing people to squat in it, then you've crossed off some of our bylaws in terms of being in contravention of them. However, they still are of interest to us under the community charter from the appearances and how it affects that neighborhood. So we're forming an examination of those particular properties, and we'll be coming to council at some future date on those.
Yeah. It is a complex issue, and I know that. And I was quite amazed when the community charter was used for the first one last year, I think it was, that I noticed come up. I thought, what a great idea. With the house that was just mentioned, apparently it's only half structurally unsound. So, like the gentleman says, he may only have to remove the upper level, whereas the bottom level he may be able to use, but that all has to be determined. So, yeah, it's definitely a complex issue, and I think moving forward on it's great for the neighborhoods.
Councillor Besser, if it's for the delegation or staff?
Not for the delegation, just a comment as per the delegation's comments and the response provided. Years have passed on the properties that the two gentlemen ago issue as it relates to the property that he's trying to rehabilitate and enhance. And we have properties that are years in waiting. and we have one that is months in waiting, and we're dealing with the one that's months far more aggressively than the ones that are years. And it would raise the question, if those homes are structurally sound, boarded windows and every bit as old and not being lived in, I don't believe, and probably not having heat turned on and all those other things, it would seem like those properties are derelict. They're not being used. So I certainly hope that when we are treating everybody fairly, equitably across the table or across the board, not because there's been a couple of complaints or otherwise. I'm sure those other ones must have received some similar complaints.
Your Worship, I just want to make sure equity is not really the case here because each one is so unique. But mixing, we've got to be careful about mixing fire damaged houses with illegal construction, of which we act on differently, because the house can be boarded up and still be perceived by the neighborhood as not a nuisance, even though it's not lived in. And I think that's mixing the illegal construction issue with the damaged houses from fire. So that ultimately is always in the courts of council, because the step to demolish the house is a very significant step for council to take, and we make sure that we cross all our I's and T's before we take that step and make sure legally we're not putting you in a position where there will be any problems caused by that.
Okay, Councillor John.
Wish for Mr. Swaby, please not to misunderstand my comment on the work being performed without a permit versus the previous delegation who was speaking to other properties that would appear to be delinquent or derelict or unsafe or all of those other things for years. So, but I am not mixing the two up. I'm not mixing the two with permit versus the other. Thank you.
Councillor Johnson.
Just quickly through you to staff, Your Worship. I would presume on those delinquent or those derelict properties that we are still receiving taxes, are we? Or otherwise they'd have gone to auction. Do we still receive taxes on those delinquent or derelict homes?
Your Worship, the taxes are paid based on the assessment provided by the province every year.
Thank you.
Councillor Kipp.
Thank you. A few communities are moving now on some derelict properties. Toronto has from derelict or from abandoned to affordable, and they're looking at how the city actually purchases these pieces of property or gets them and builds them into some affordable housing and things like that. So there's always that type of thing. When things sit for too long, I'll send out some information to council and staff on it.
Okay. Now, anyone else for question period?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconder, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.